First of all, we'll start out with the prayer, and that'll be given by Bridger Marsh and Troop 92. Afterwards, we'll have Tyson Schwartz from Troop 95 lead us in our pledge. So, if you want to come up here, Bridger. Up to the microphone.
Dear gracious Heavenly Father, thankful that we can all come here to City Council and that we'll get any problems or questions we have, and that we will be safe and have a good drive home safely. And I'd like to say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Audience, please rise. Please repeat the pledge with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated.
Again, we appreciate the Scouts for helping us out like that. Is it powwow season, or is just everybody working on their community?
Community.
It's what?
Community.
Community, just working on it. Okay. Well, good for you. All right, first thing on the agenda is the consent agenda for the approval of the October 4th, 2017 council minutes. Do we have any discussion, or do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is the approval of October 4th, 2017 council minutes.
Okay, have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
And Doug seconded it. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is the public forum. If anybody in the audience would like to come up and address the mayor and council, please come to the microphone, state your name. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public forum. We're going to staff reports. Do we have any staff?
Mayor and council, just a couple quick updates. The streets department, they're trying to wrap up fixing potholes and finishing up a couple of paving projects. They paved 5th South yesterday between Main Street and the highway, and then did a little leveling with some extra asphalt on Main Street, but they're just trying to wrap up that. We fixed over 100 water leaks so far this year, so that tells us we've got some problems in our water system that we're going to have to address, which we'll be bringing to you here in a little while. And then, like I said, we're just trying to button everything up before the snow flies and it gets to be winter, but they're doing a lot of work trying to just get caught up. So.
How long before they're going to be paving and finishing up on the gooseneck?
They were supposed to pave tomorrow, but they're probably going to pave Friday, at least on Goose Nest, and then 4th South will get finished up, hopefully shortly thereafter. So it should be by Friday. It should be paved.
Are they going to try to get any of the water leaks under the streets taken care of by the end of the month, do you think?
All the water leaks are paved right now.
Well, I saw one on 1150 East and about 577 South, that general area. It's in a cul-de-sac and there's a leak.
Yeah, they're aware of it. They had 4 2 days ago. Now we got 8.
What I'm asking is, are they going to try to make sure those all get done?
They've got 2 on the highway. That's probably top priority. They're trying to get fixed first.
Yeah, we fixed one today. We got another one tomorrow. And so we've got some issues with the water system we need to fix. So we'll be coming back with some more information for you.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have any water leaks. The police department, the last 18 days, we've had 606 calls, made 64 arrests, which included 96 offenses. They issued 100 citations, which resulted in 126 violations, arrested 3 DUI drivers, made 163 traffic stops, and investigated 22 traffic accidents. Been kind of busy the last few weeks. I was talking to some of the Spring Lake residents around the lake this week. I think we're still doing pretty good down there. They seem to be happy with what's going on, and I think a lot of them here tonight to talk about some hunting things, but I'll let them talk about that. But as far as that goes, I think we're locking and it seems to be going good, so.
And you got the other speed radar on
Oh, yeah.
63rd South, I like that one.
Yeah,
That's
the
good.
speed signs.
Good location.
Yeah.
Got all the poles in, we got 2 of them installed, we got 2 more to go on 930 and 930 and 400 North, so we'll get those as soon as Ron's guys get enough time to finish them up, and we should have them all done for the year, so I think they're helping quite a bit.
You know, I follow cars and you watch them hit the brakes.
Yeah.
I know it works.
It works.
Flashing.
So, anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Any other staff? No.
Mayor and council, a couple things at the golf course. We've
How's
kind
your
of,
hand, by the way, before we start?
oh, it's good, thanks.
Okay. Everything's healing all right?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
What did you do?
TMB, too many birthdays. So the doctor, TMB. I injured it about 3 years ago, and it just kept getting worse through golf, and they wouldn't inject it anymore, so I was down to my final option. Thanks, though. At the golf course, we've kind of wrapped up a lot. We had the Neal School District Junior High Championship, which was an 18-hole event. We had our men's closing social, and I guess we'll call it the inaugural night golf tournament for Payson City employees, and that was a lot of fun. I'd like to thank David, well, I should say Susan Tuckett, because she brought up a bunch of food and treats for everyone. I mean, it was really nice of them to do that. So we had a great night, and I think we'll build on it and maybe do some more next year. I think people had a lot of fun. There's a lot of wildlife on that golf course in the middle of the night, in case you were wondering. Like me and a raccoon kind of had it out on the 5th green, you know. I was like, anyway, yeah, things are winding down there. I would like to compliment Mark. The course, we had a pro-am, so we had people from all over the state, and just the compliments were just incredible. Just, you know, this is the best place. So I just really appreciate Mark and his staff. That's all we have. Thank you.
Just a reminder that vote by mail. All the ballots went out yesterday. The county notified us that they went out yesterday, and now so citizens should be getting them in their mail. So just watch for those, and they'll just continue to send out ballots as they receive new people, new registered voters. So that's all I got. We do have a box out front here, so you can either just send them back in the mail, or people can drop them off here in the ballot box.
Mayor and council, and public, just to let you know, we are wrapping up as well our outdoor sports. Our soccer we just wrapped up. We still have some accelerated leagues playing into next week. We also had a baseball tournament with Rocky Mountain School of Baseball we hosted last Friday. You may have noticed lights on down by Walmart. And then Saturday was the Courtney Osborne Fast Pitch Tournament, which a family puts on for a scholarship fund. We are still moving forward with tackle football. We've got a few games left on playoffs with our youth tackle football, and our adult and youth flag football is going for the next couple weeks as well. We are next week starting our youth wrestling and our youth volleyball on Tuesday night, and then we're still taking registrations for women's volleyball and men's basketball, and they'll be starting the 1st of November. That's what we have in the recreation world. Donna, are you coming up? I did not. I was going to report.
Thanks for your quick response on repairing that broken fence. That's nice. Thanks.
Don't worry.
At the library, we just were closed for 3 days over the holiday and did our inventory, and so we're in really good shape at the library. Things are looking really good. We appreciate the support we've had from the council and the mayor, and got some good projects we're working on. And we also have an interesting leak issue, but I'm sure I'll be talking to somebody about that one, something underneath the ground. But other than that, things are running very smoothly at the library. Thanks.
Okay.
Just a quick update on, I talked to the UDOT representative today. They're closing the road between Payson and Santaquin. They're at the Highline Canal. They're gonna put a pipe across the road. So they've had the message boards up by Payson Junior High that the road's gonna be closed today. It actually will close at 7 o'clock, and it will be closed until Monday. Hopefully they can get it done a little bit, they're shooting to get it done before Monday, but they will have it open on Monday morning.
Are they gonna do another deal like they did up on, going to Elk Ridge?
I don't
Off
think so.
Gooseneck?
Is it Travis?
I don't,
Or is it just gonna be a pipe?
It's just a
It's a
pipe,
pipe.
so it'll be the pipe size that when they actually pipe it, it'll just tie right into it.
Okay, that's what I wondered.
yeah, so I talked to the guy today. They're trying to do those message boards so that people know that the road's actually not gonna be closed, except right there at Highline Canal on both sides. So local traffic can go through and it wouldn't be a problem, but if you're trying to get to Santaquin from Payson, it's better to get on the freeway and go down. So hopefully it'll just be this weekend. They would like to get it done by Saturday, but they're not. They're putting Monday as their date. And then the mayor came today's Wilson School 5th graders had a little kickball game, and
Next year, we may have to get some younger players on our team.
we're gonna get some
Because I
younger
couldn't
players.
see, I was blind in one eye and couldn't see out of the other, and then we see Melanie was laid up, and you was laid up, and
We had a few injuries, not
Yeah.
too serious. No workers' comp claims, I hope. But the 5th graders were very gracious and gave a talk after and gave us a treat. And we took a picture. Hopefully we can get it in the Chronicle, but hopefully we can do that in the future with them. But if you guys are available next time, it'd be good to go out and support these 5th graders. It was fun.
Should put it in the Daily Herald too if they'll let you.
Okay.
and they ended up tying.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, at the very end, they ended up tying. Thanks to Brad, he blocked everybody.
Would you like to say something about potholes?
It is for right now, yep.
Okay, I'll
Sorry about that.
be the next one then.
Okay, any other staff? Okay, we're gonna go to Mike,
I don't have anything, Nick.
Doug.
I just had one thing, a message that's going to be done later, but since we're here, some people are concerned about Canyon Road and 800 South being able to see. Bushes are blocking vision. Other than that, thanks for everybody, and I'll let you do.
Linda?
Tracy made me just think about how beautiful the golf course is. There might be several in the audience that aren't aware or aren't golfers of how beautiful that is up there, and especially this time of year. And I so appreciate Tracy and Mark for all the work that they do up there. Unfortunately, I haven't been there for a couple of months, but it's a beautiful place, and I want to thank them.
Brian?
Tracy?
I was going to say to tag team that, there are people that come up that don't play golf that we let them take
Yeah,
a card out
take a
just to
card.
look if they ever want to come up.
You bet. And it's fun to do it. Whoops, sorry. It's fun to do it this time of year because you see a ton of deer running all over. So, okay, that's it.
I took a guy up last night, developer, and showed him up there, and anyways, yeah, that's the first thing he noticed was all the deer, so.
Yeah.
Brian?
Okay, just a couple of things. One is, in the last couple of weeks, we responded to a couple of RFIs out for our business park. Businesses are might look at coming to our business park. Also, our Economic Development Committee, we meet the first Thursday of each month. This next time, we're going to meet for 2 hours. We're going to set goals for next year, and then we'll do a work session with the City Council after that. And the last thing is Edc Utah, which is it's a nonprofit organization that works with the state of Utah to bring businesses into the state of Utah, has added a new focus. Part of what they're doing is they're working with cities on bringing retail into the cities, and we told them we'd like to be one of their first cities to start working on bringing retail in. So besides bringing businesses in, they're going to start working with the cities on retail too. So that's all I have.
Okay, Scott?
I think I don't have anything tonight. I feel like my member anyway.
Again, kickball tournament, it was a lot of fun, and kids got a big kick out of it. So, I encourage everybody to come out to that if we do it again. So, other than that, we'll go ahead and we'll close staff and council reports. And next thing on the agenda is Scout attendance, and I'll turn that over to Scott.
So we'd like to welcome the scouts out tonight. When I call your name, you can come up here and get your certificate, walk across the stage, shake the council members and mayor's hand. Then when you're done, we'll stand up here and we'll have a little exercise for you to do. Zachary Stinson. Saber Gonzalez. No. Anthony Anderson. Wesley Nilsson. Tyson Swartz. Luke Daly, or Daly. Stephen Johnson. Adric Jorgensen. Kaylin Wilson. Jacoby Hamilton. Ephraim Wild. Kimball Wild. Colin Wild. Kyler Tishner. Logan Dowling. Is there any? Let's see, we got one more here. Bridger Marsh. Is there anybody else that hasn't been called? Can you come up here and get your name? Give him your name, and we'll make your certificate. Okay, and Gage Allen, do you want to come with it? Then just stand in line. So what we'd like to do is have each one of you start at one end or the other, whoever wants to go first, and tell the audience what you like about scouting. Then you can, once everybody's done, you can sit down. You want to start? What do you like about scouting? What's your favorite thing about scouting?
To help in the
The what?
Help in the service.
Okay. Just speak to the audience.
I like doing merit badges and figuring out how to do stuff that boys need to know how to do.
Teach you so many things that you need to learn in your life. Do camping.
I enjoy helping others learn how to do stuff.
I like learning how to do basic necessities. Getting home.
I enjoy the service. I enjoy camping and the service and whatnot.
I enjoy thousands of ways of building fires and shooting arrows.
Thanks for coming out. Tell your scout leaders thanks for taking the time out and helping you guys.
I'm a little biased. That's one of the best dressed troops. I used to work with these boys, and they all cheat when they play Risk, just so you know. I started a new hashtag called Team for Doug.
Not intentionally.
Again, we definitely want to thank the leaders for taking the time out and being with the boys and bringing them out and showing them what it's all about. So thanks to them. Okay, next thing on the agenda, do we have a motion to go into public hearing? So moved. A motion, we have a second.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're now into public hearing on the Main Street tree removal and improvements. And I will turn it over to Dave for a minute.
Mayor and council, a few meetings back, the council had talked about removing some of the trees on Main Street, maybe repairing some of the roads, and replacing those trees with some smaller trees that are not bunched up against the buildings. The council's direction was they're okay moving in that direction, but we want to have some public input. So we set this up for a public hearing. Any of the public that wants to weigh in on this, we did give the council, I can put that up on the screen if you want. This is just a picture where we've numbered the different trees downtown. The main part you can see there is Utah Avenue from SR 198 down to Main Street. And that would be the first section of trees that we remove. You're going to put some in the containers, the pots. We did talk to the council also about widening that street out a little bit, taking some of those little
Benches,
things that come out into the street, the bulb outs. That does cause some safety issues when you're coming on Utah Avenue to the east, and then it narrows down really quick when you go through that light. So it's a public hearing. Council can weigh in as well, but that was the next step, is to do this and then get direction on the council how to proceed on that. We would need to probably do a budget amendment if we're going to do the street repairs along with the tree removal. So we can discuss that too. We can put the estimated cost up there too if you want to discuss that. So it's open to the public if anybody wants to weigh in on our trees downtown.
There's a public hearing, so if you have anything, please come up here and state your name and whatnot.
My name's Dave Johnson, and I like the trees. There's not too many places on Main Street. I live on Main Street. There are not too many places where you get that much shade right there. And I mean, if it's causing problems with the public works, I can appreciate that. But just from an aesthetics point of view, I like the shade that it offers. It's really nice to stop over in that area and sit when you're on a casual walk with your sweetheart and appreciate that. So that's my thoughts.
Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Bert Spills, President Payson, and the trees. Having the right tree in the right location is really important, and I see that as I've looked at them. I love trees, and as I look at them, there may be a few of those trees that are the wrong tree for the wrong location. But if you go into Arbor Day Foundation, look at the value of a tree to the community. I'm going to go across these really quick. A tree, one healthy young tree, is equivalent to 10 room-size air conditioners operating 20 hours a day. Has that benefit. A tree planted today on the west side of the home, in 5 years, your energy bill will be reduced by 3%. A mature tree can also be appraised at between $1,000 and $10,000. You have 30 trees. So you may have $30,000 investments there, or maybe as much as $300,000 in trees. Realtors say that 83% of realtors believe that a mature tree have a strong or moderate impact on the stability of homes listed for under $150,000 and $250,000. Landscaping with trees can increase the value of the property by 20%. Trees properly placed around buildings can reduce air conditioning needs by 30%. Trees can be a stimulant. This is one where I think that we need to consider. Trees can be a stimulus to the economic development, attracting new businesses and tourism. Commercial retail areas are more attractive to shoppers. Apartments rent more quickly, tenants stay longer, and space in a wooded setting is more valuable to sell or rent. Healthy trees mature in, let's say, average, increase the value by 10. Let's say trees. Planting a tree means improving water quality, resulting in less runoff and erosion. This allows more recharge into the ground. And there's one that I've missed. Oh, trees actually have a tendency to reduce your blood pressure.
So we should plant some trees in this room, is what you're saying?
Yeah. I think that'd be appropriate. There's a benefit of the oxygen given off by the trees. And also the trees absorb carbon dioxides and particles out of the air and help to keep the air pure. There's also called thermal islands. When you plant a tree, it puts a shadow on the ground, and especially cement and asphalt won't be as hot. And when those cement and asphalt gets hot at night, you'll feel that heat radiate and dissipate. If you have trees in areas where there's a lot of cement and asphalt, it'll lower the temperature. Also, you'll get away from the thermal islands. Anyway, there's some other things here, but if you get a chance, look at the value of trees to the community from the Arbor Day Foundation. I do like the trees. I think that there's some that we need to kind of look at, and if you take a tree out, I think you owe it to replant at least 3 or 4 elsewhere. And you've taken out quite a few trees this summer, and I'm kind of glad I got the opportunity to come up and express that you need to plant some trees elsewhere, especially where there's asphalt and cement would be good. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else in the public?
My name is Bob Trivet. I think you ought to leave the trees like they are. Sometimes, I know when they grow up against the building, you can cut them back. But I think the trees is what makes the city pretty and beautiful. For a while, me and my wife was traveling a lot around the country, and the cities you went in, it had the big trees that covered the street and went over the sidewalk, made the cities look a lot better, made it look a lot more peaceful. And, I don't know if they make your blood pressure go down when you got to rake up the leaves in the summer and the fall. It ain't so much fun. But you pay for your shade in the winter in October and November. But anyway, I just think the city ought to leave the trees. If they got to be cut back, go ahead and do it. I know it costs a couple of bucks to get the cranes and the lifts, man lifts up and the chainsaws and stuff and cut them down, but it makes the city look a lot better.
Anybody else? Seeing none?
I'll weigh in.
Do you want to close the public hearing, or do you
I'll
want
make a
to?
motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to close public hearing. Do we have any discussion over that? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now do we have discussion on it?
I guess I'll start. Curtis, I'm taking anybody for a field trip. Trees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are taller than the buildings, and I'll show you what the damage it's doing to them buildings down there. They're taller than the buildings, and when the leaves fall off, they're plugging all them flat roof drains. When we had that last rainstorm, there were businesses that got flooded because of the leaves. I'm all about keeping the trees, but they've got to be cut down below the roof lines. If they didn't have such flat roofs, it would be an issue. But you've got 16, 17, 18, 19, 15 that's doing the same thing. Over there where Taylor owned this. The problem is all the flat roofs. And the leaves are taller than the buildings, and then when the leaves drop, they go on top of the buildings and plug up all the gutters. And it causes damage to the building. I'm all about an eye for an eye, a tree for a tree. That isn't what I'm trying to do. But if we're not going to remove the trees, they at least got to be cut down below the roof lines.
Well, doesn't common sense tell you if you own a building, you got to clean the roof off?
I'll hire you. You'll be there every day. You'll be there every day because.
How much you pay me?
That's the problem.
You said you'd hire me.
Do you when your neighbor has a tree and it blows over on your yard, how does that work?
I rake up his leaves and I put them in my garden.
Well, the problem is the flat roofs. If it was a pitched roof and they had the leaves had somewhere to go, it'd be a non-issue. But the flat roofs, they plug up the gutters, and when a rainstorm comes, you know, if it's not cleaned out, it plugs up, but it's a daily thing once the leaves start dropping.
Somebody knows the flat roof building, knows he's gotta go up and clean them in the fall. If he don't, he's not very brave.
It's just not quite that easy.
Also, another problem that we have are those roots that are coming out from that tree are buckling the sidewalks. And you can walk down those sidewalks and they're raised up, so something needs to be done. It's not, we've talked about putting big barrels and planting trees in those barrels and setting them up there too. So they'd look a lot better. A lot of those trees are trash trees too, especially the one in front of the library. The junk that comes down from that tree, and I think our librarian can attest to that. It's a mess. Thank you.
Hey, any other?
I have a hard time tearing down trees, but as I've gone and looked at downtown, if you look at tree 1, 2, and 3, those are maple trees. Those are dying. Those need to come out. And I don't think there's any question that there's no reason to keep them there. And what we plan on doing is ones that we take out is put big pots in with trees in those, and then they can be easily taken care of. And then once they get more mature, we can move them over to plant them someplace else and put new ones in. But so those 3 trees I think for sure need to come out. And there's another tree I think right by 9 that you can't, that's not marked there. I think there's 2 of them there, and one of those is also dying. I think 7 is dying too. Those maples are not in good condition. Anything's not in good condition is dying, I think needs to come out. 4, 5, and 6. I talked to Troy Learwell. He owns that building there. He likes the trees there, but he's also, he likes us, if they come down, he'd like to have the same massive trees, which I told him that would be, because those are so big, would be not possible. But I'd like to see an arborist come down and look at those and see what can be done so they can be trimmed down enough to keep them there and be able to keep care of the mess. I've looked at the sidewalks. I don't think there's most of the buckling. The sidewalks are farther away from most of the trees, so most of the sidewalks are pretty good shape. It's other stuff around the trees are kind of buckling.
Well, and I think that the water lines are Travis, don't they grow around the water lines and everything else?
They do. I mean, most of the water lines are old poly, and the trees are, squeezing them off, and they're not working. There's just a lot of work that needs to be done on the water system.
So yeah, so that's another thing to consider. But I know on like 19 through 22, those have been trimmed back. Dave, you know if the city trimmed those back, or did the Eli's go in and trim those back?
We trimmed
The city did, and those look pretty nice. I tried to talk.
Dirty tree.
They are dirty trees. They're dirty. There's no question about that. But I'd like to have an arborist come in and talk to us about some of these things that maybe we can make some of these trees work for us. I have one other thing, and I can't remember what it was. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, so I was the only one who voted against this, and I'm still largely against this for a few reasons. I've walked the sidewalks too, and I haven't been able to see anything that's really that major. I mean, I looked at 22, and those trees are 30 plus years old. I don't anticipate having more buckling, but an arborist would be good to see, to come in and look at that. I knew that it was going to be a concern, and I meant to put this out sooner, but I put it out 2 hours ago. I've been gone, and in that 2 hours I had 23 people comment. All of them said leave the trees, except for Glinda Tanner, who said take them out. So there's a lot of interest in keeping the trees. Now, I would agree on Utah Avenue, there are some problems there, and 1, 2, and 3, if they're dying, 9, some of those I can see the need, and I spoke on that last time. So that section of Utah Avenue, but on the east side of Main Street, I don't think I would take any of those out. I think they do add quite a bit to the community and the atmosphere, and it's forever to get trees that are mature that add to that ambiance and everything else to a community. There were also several people that talked about, with the movie that we just filmed, about the impact that would have on the movie business, and we're not Hollywood by any means, but you're right. I mean, we have a couple here and there, so it's not like we're raking in the dough from trees, but it's part of who we are. And I think the biggest thing for me is we're talking right now about redoing our general plan starting in January, putting out a strategic plan and start working through our list of plans. There's a lot of interest, and we need to get that done. And I think there needs to be a bigger conversation about this area and if we're going to move forward with it or not. And I would hold off until we have any of those conversations to decide what, if anything, we're going to do with Main Street. We know things need to be done, but there's also the financial aspects. So those of you who think we don't want to do anything about Main Street, that's not true. It's just we've got a lot of expenses that we also have to look at. But I think that needs to be part of our general plan discussions, our Parks and Rec discussion. And I would hate to take them out before we get to that point in time, because I think there's street alignments and parking and all sorts of things that need to go into that conversation. So I wouldn't move anything on Historic Main, but on that west side of Main Street on Utah Avenue, I think there's some need there.
I have one more comment. I know you talked to Troy, but I pretty much guarantee you the majority of them down there want the trees. A program figured out where they don't have to sweep leaves every day.
Well,
But I don't think they want a business vacant of trees.
No, I love the trees. They're just overgrown and
Right.
they're causing damage.
Well, and trimming some of them back, I think that's good. But if you want trees,
that's big trim.
well, but we can look at that.
also, I think, especially those trees by Eli's, they're pretty, but I hate seeing the road that color and the sidewalk and the trash that falls from those trees look awful. I think we all want a clean and beautiful downtown. That's what we want to have, to clean it up and make it look good. And the tree in front of the library and those down by Eli's are just trash trees. And they drop those leaves and it looks awful.
You're saying trees look awful because they drop leaves?
I
That's
said,
not trash.
I said the road and the sidewalk looks awful. I didn't say the trees. I said
You said the trees drop trash.
I said they're trash trees. They drop all of that
Oh, leaves. Oh,
stuff.
my goodness, we don't want a tree to drop a leaf.
Problem is our
Excuse
street
me,
sweepers
sir.
drop more than they're running, so we can't really clean them up.
Since I haven't had a chance to say anything yet, I'm going to weigh in here. I was talking to an individual today and said that sometimes when these kind of items get on the agenda, they're put on by cranky councils. And I freely admitted to that person that the night I complained about it, I was cranky. And it wasn't because of this that I was cranky. It was because of a lot of other things. But having said that, I think there have been a lot of good things come out here tonight. I'm not for the wholesale ripping out and planting new trees. I don't think that's what the council had in mind when we asked this to be reviewed. I think we aren't looking for a plan. We want to have a plan for addressing the obvious problems. There are trees that probably need to come out because they're not doing well, they're dying, and we need to get the right tree for the right location. I agree we have an ambiance, right, whatever, with our downtown, with having the trees down there. I mentioned to another person this morning, I said, when I was thinking coming in here tonight, I thought that area down there where those trees are at that you've been talking about. Yet we chose to have our council picture there because I think yes, we did. And I think well, we didn't go, but that's where the great but it is a great
And I
picture.
think I had to kneel in that garbage too.
Probably did. But my point is here, I think what we need to do, I'm with, we need to bring some experts in here that can help us with this as far as determining which trees we really need to do something with right now, which we cannot, we should maybe not do something with. And particularly, I agree with Scott 100%. We need to make sure that we're not contributing to problems for the businesses that are down there. I admit, yeah, they should be right up there on the top of their roof and taking care of that every day. Not every day. But I can tell you, but I can tell you that then if you had that task and you were busy with all the other stuff that you're trying to do running a business, that's not always the first thing you do. And so we need to work with the businesses as well down there. Now, I was the guy that said, you know, we've got these pots, let's use them. Well, I think we could actually have more trees downtown if we started using some of the pots. And so I'd like to see us come back here and bring somebody in, get some more information, encourage, get the trimming done that needs to be done so we avoid those kind of things, and then have a plan for addressing, and I agree 100% with Councilman Welton that we need to be looking at the whole downtown plan, because we could do a lot of stuff with those trees and then have to tear them all up again in a few years because we've got problems with the infrastructure.
One more comment. Sonia Gutierrez guy, whoever that is, says they own 2 shops on Main Street and they absolutely don't want the trees taken down.
That's Ash, guy. Utah Trikes and Goofy Caddies.
Gotcha.
So I did try to get.
Any other discussion? Do we need a motion, or what do we want to do on this?
Well, we need a little direction, but I tried to get an arborist from 7 Trees. He lives here in town. He's usually pretty good, but I've emailed and left messages and I wanted to get maybe him to come tonight or to give us his recommendation. But we can still follow up and see if we can get. We've used them before on certain areas where we have to either pour new sidewalk or do something to get their opinion. So if you want an arborist, we can see what 7 Trees will do, tree by tree, and see if they can be trimmed down as much as we need to, or if that would kill them and you need to. Anyway, he's been pretty good on other areas of town to help us. So if you want to
make a motion to that effect.
I will make a motion that we obtain an arborist and have him look at the trees first on Utah Avenue west from Main Street, because those I feel need to be addressed first. And have him give us some instruction. And that's it.
Before we finish the motion, I have one question, Dave. What caliper of trees were in your budget were you looking at, and the caliper of the trees and how tall they would be in those pots?
2.5 to 3.
So about how tall that would be? 10 feet maybe? 10 foot. Okay.
So you didn't want to address the ones by the library then?
Well, yeah, if I'm just concerned, I'm sorry, west of Main and the one at the library really needs to be looked at. Have him look at all of them. But I think we need to get busy on the ones from Main Street West on Utah Avenue.
I'll second
Okay, we got a motion. Well, we got a motion and a second. Now we have discussion.
Okay, I agree with most of that, but I would say you wait for everything until we've completed our master plans.
If I could say something here, I talked about cranky councils. I understand that we need a master plan, but I think this can be go on and on if we let it. And I know if I've had one challenge on the entire time I've been on the council is that we talk about something and then we let it go. And then citizens start wondering, why aren't we doing anything about this or that?
That's why on all these issues today, they're back on the council.
The question is this a citizen
That's
initiative
brought them up.
or is this a council member initiative?
Well, I don't know that that frankly makes a lot of difference because the trees, we need to take care of the trees.
When you talk about citizens wondering why we don't get anything done, it's not an issue to them. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, we still have a motion and second. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna do roll call vote on this. Mike?
Aye.
Nate?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay, thank you. So we'll bring that back once we get some recommendations from him, and then we'll see what we can do to go to work.
Mayor, you made your vote, and that's terrific. We're Tree City, Utah, or Tree City, USA, and part of that Tree City, USA, at least we were, was to have a tree committee. And if you have a tree committee, they could work with the arborist and work with the merchants downtown, the property owners, and work with the staff as they're trimming trees. There's been quite a few trees that were trimmed wrong, and we've had diseases because of that, and we've had to remove trees. But just a suggestion.
Okay, we'll kind of turn.
Trees, they're a reputable, they know.
Yeah, but who do they report to you? But or you report to Dave or somebody. But if you had a tree committee, the tree committee would go out with the arborist, and they'd work with the arborist, and come back and then give a report to you. That way, citizens are working with the tree issue, and then giving you recommendations about whether you put the big planter and make it so that you grow a tree for 5-6 years and then take it out and replant it elsewhere. So it'd be like a working nursery or planting.
I think that's what most cities do, is use their main streets like working nurseries.
Well, but a lot of communities will do tree committees.
Well, we'll look into that.
Motion, so.
And in fairness to the rest of the group, the idea, in case for those of you here that don't know, the idea is that you put them in planters, and then when they get to a certain size, you replant them in parks. So I think it's important to know that it's not just getting rid of trees, even though I disagree with them, that they are planning on moving trees and adding trees to the community. Right. Okay, we're going to move on. Next thing on the agenda is a resolution appointment for Planning Commission, and Blair Warner has been stepped down, and we needed to put somebody there. I would like to appoint Guy Larson before the council, and so that is open for discussion or a motion. I just have one concern. I have a concern with Guy Larson per se, but did we notice this to the public? I just think it's a big part of what we do. And
I think we put it out, didn't we?
No.
Did we? This is only till April, I think.
Right, so it's not very long.
It's not very long. It's only till, 3-4 months?
Right, so it's not very long. I just think it'd be good if we put the opportunity out to residents to apply so they know about it.
Yeah, we didn't put it out. When somebody goes midterm, the mayor has under the ordinance, he can fill that until the next day. We send a notice out in March till the next April, and then they would have to apply. And
I got a question. Why can't we just wait till after the election and then do it?
We can do that too.
With all the
I'm going to
busy.
make the motion that we wait till after the election.
Okay?
I'll second that.
And I would say that we need to advertise it.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
advertise.
Then I would probably just say wait till April. If you're going to do that. Because then that's when the term's up again.
Sure. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to
Because
appoint
then
somebody
you're not,
in
I mean,
January.
you're only, 1 or 2 months in, so.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Now, my question is,
2 weeks till the election.
I don't work on that committee really closely. I kind of trust them to come to us. Can they get by a member down? Do we have any planners here? Is that
we
something?
have 6 right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we got a motion. Do we have a second?
What was the motion again?
Wait till after the election.
Wait.
I thought we had a second.
Guy was last for second. Okay.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So my only clarification is that after the election, or do you want to wait until March?
Yeah, I was going to say I would wait till March.
Again, using the cranky syndrome, I think we have to have a date. I mean, if we're going to delay this, I think the mayor's made a proposal, we make an appointment, so I think we need to say this is the date. if we're delaying it because we want to encourage some more applicants, then this is the date we're going to do it by. And I don't think we should. I think we should do it probably like
15th of November.
Yeah,
Well,
15th of November or
Sure, I'd be okay with that.
Okay. So, and it may not change anything at all.
if I could make
So
that
you want to
as an
change your
amendment.
motion?
And to notice it, yeah.
Okay, so we've got a motion. Now, do you still want to second it?
Yes, I'll second
Okay, motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion? All those in favor, Mike?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay,
So we're bringing it back after November 15th, but you want it
We want it
noticed
noticed.
prior to that. Let people apply. But if you appoint somebody in November, it's only till March.
Right.
That's fine.
Okay.
okay. All right, next thing on the agenda is discussion regarding the storm drain. I'll turn that over to Travis.
Mayor and council, this is in regards to that study that we had done on the grade school just right next door to us. The results came back from the borings we did, and we did them all. We did all three of them on the west side of the school, where those homes used to be that the school bought and tore down, and now it's just a field. But the school district's okay with us working with them, but they require it to be underground, so that there's not an above-ground pond, so that the kids don't,
Fall in it.
have all that, or it's still usable for them is what they've got it for. But obviously that's more expensive, and with these test results, so we did 3 holes, and on the south end, to get to the gravel layer, which is what we would need to get to, it's 17 feet deep. It gets better, it's only 8 feet deep on the north end, but we'd have to not only do a horizontal storage, but actually go vertical to get into that layer to get rid of the water, because until we get the regional pond in and some piping up there, we don't really have anywhere to take it. So it's kind of feasible, but not the best news that we could have done. The other option we could look at is turning the west side of our grass area into a above ground, retention pond and doing that, but we'd still have to do some tests there to see how deep the gravel is. I'd assume it's fairly similar to what the school is, but we'd have to do that. So kind of what Dave and I wanted to just kind of talk about was, our storm drain rate is like $570 a month right now for residential. It's obviously more if you have a business and a commercial, but really that's not giving us a lot of money to do projects. That house that's been flooded 3 times right here on 5th West and 2nd South, just right around the corner. I don't have the exact numbers yet because we're still under construction, but that alone is costing us $40,000 to $50,000 just to fix that intersection. So you can see that money doesn't go very far, and we know we have issues all over the city with storms when we get a big one that they
How
don't.
much is that going to take off of what's even going to go down further?
I don't know, I'll have to talk to Kent.
What do you mean take off?
Well, I mean, you still got
The
everything.
same amount of water is still gonna go there, it's just not gonna go in the house, it'll go around the corner.
Well, we put a
We have
giant
some.
sump in
You
there.
put something there, but I say, how much is that going to relieve? I know it's going to keep it from going in the house, but how much is that going to relieve even what's going down?
The problem is when you have the big storms, the perk rate, it doesn't matter what you do, it's gonna fill up and still overflow and go down the road again.
But it'll take a large peak off. I mean, it's hard to say exactly how much, but it will take a lot of the water off and not send it farther to the west, towards 8th West, which we know all floods every time we get any storm. So obviously we're not here to really talk about what exactly we need to do, but I think we need to really look at, in the future, coming back to you guys with a rate proposal and kind of what we need to do there, because we're just not able to do a lot of these projects, and every time it rains we get complaints about either houses flooded or water's all over the place, and without a plan, and a part of it is...
There's half the problem though. When was the last plan, 99?
No, it was 2002, I think it was.
3 years.
Close.
Yeah.
But you were off a little bit. And that plan, the only problem with it is, I think the plan itself is good, but the pond sizes were only done for a 25-year storm event, which we've now changed our regulation to 100-year, which is better, because then it obviously takes a larger storm event to get it off of the roads and get it in there. But so that would be the part that would need
When
to
are we
be
going to change it to a 500-year event? Because I think
getting-
that's what we've been getting lately.
Well, we can if you want to. But I don't know, that was kind of just a discussion.
really.
Yeah.
Hey, Travis, I have a question for you. Do we transfer anything out of the stormwater fund?
No. There was,
So.
I don't know what year, but the council made
Yeah, I
that
was
solution.
there and I was part of that, so that's why I asked the question.
Yeah, it was before my time.
Because you
Yeah.
talked about not having a lot of funds in the storm drain fund.
Yeah, we just don't charge a lot, which is good and bad. I mean, we're not charging a lot for it, so but we're also not,
Depends on who you're
to-
talking about.
to do a big project, we have to usually save up for about 3 years to do it, and then we do one project, and then we have to save up again for 3 years to do another one, so. I know the businesses take a bigger hit, because theirs is, they have more impervious area, and that's how they're paying on it. So I don't know, well, that's something we've got to look at, is do we charge more to the residential side of it, but not the commercial? Something we got to look at, but it's just not, we know there's a bunch of problems. I mean, if you drive down some of these areas when it rains, 8th West is one, water floods across the road and it's in big ponds, and, we get complaints all the time about it, and we try to go out and take care of it, but we don't have enough time.
Isn't it, the pipe underneath the freeway
Yeah.
isn't big enough?
Well, that's what I'm saying, you gotta do a regional pond and then get piping up there, but the pipe underneath the interstate's too small. And so, that could be a couple $100,000 just to bore underneath the interstate with a large enough pipe and casing to do that, so. That's
where
kind of
we
what
put
we're
it from
facing.
there.
Well, it would
Now
go
you
down
got
to that piece of property that we bought down on Utah Avenue and.
That's where we'd have to start, is build the pond, then work our way up, because it doesn't do any good to start on the high ends of the city, and we don't have anywhere to take it, so.
So that's what I put in your agenda request is, the proposal would be to get the regional pond done and get the piping up through Utah Avenue under I-15, and then get some sort of a pond in this area that connects to that, and then get the older part of town that connects into the pond here, either here or the school. But those are the steps. We've got to get that regional pond done. We're using some of the money that we have budgeted for down by the Joyce Bradley area. A few years ago, the stream runs in the back of those houses, and there was some flooding. We've kept that pretty clean, so we haven't had some flooding issues recently, but we were going to get that creek and put it in the roadway so it just bypasses those backyards. But we're using some of the money to fix 5th West, and then we'll see what we can do to fix that area. But I think we need to focus on that regional pond, the lower end, and then work our way up this way. And it's just, like Travis said, it's going to take, we either have to save the money to get it, or bond, or do something.
I guess what I'd like to see from Sarah here.
Well,
I guess I think it's worthwhile for a discussion, but I'd like to see the budget for the storm drain, so we can see what money's taken out of there for employees.
Yeah,
Our
we can show you
revenues, expenses, basically. Because I know we're $400,000 a year, $400,000 to $500,000.
Yeah, I asked Jonathan Ward from Science Public Finance. We looked at the expenses that we take out of that, and then what money we have left, and there's maybe $150,000 to $200,000 that we could use as revenue to bond. And he said with that amount of money, you could do about $1.5 million to $2 million projects, and then you'd have to pay that off and then do that again. But that's
should have done that in 1998.
Yeah. Well, back in the 90s, it was a $10 million project for the whole city.
And now
back in 2000 something, it was 20-something million. Now, it's almost 20 years later.
One thing I'd like to see is have us update our storm drain plan, because I don't want to be going out and putting these things in, hoping that it's going to match everything else. Even we start at the bottom end. We need to seriously look at all our plans, and if we're doing our general plan and a master plan, let's do our storm drain, our PI, let's do all the plans at one time, and then just have a plan how to fix these, instead of saying, well, we got this problem, let's start at the bottom, and then we figure out what fees we need, or if we need to bond, but it gives us a real core to go on all at one time, instead of trying to patch work things. So that's what I'd like to see.
I agree, but I think at our work session, when we decided we were going to do roughly 2 a year, I thought there was some general discussion about 2 a year, so we didn't have, and then keeping them updated, putting something in the ordinance that they're updated, because if you have to do them all at one shot every 10 or 20 years, that's a lot for future
That's
councils.
actually, we're gonna bring that to you guys in 2 weeks to kind of talk about that plan. Because that's the thing, is we're about to get killed here with UVU and the interchange and development, and we're not ready. We don't know what size the utilities are, and that's what we're gonna get into.
Right. One of the issues the council got to tackle though, because if the council said appropriate some money so we can do all these plans at once, we gotta have the money to fix them. Because we've done studies, but then we don't increase the rates or bond to fix the problems. And so if the council is willing to put money or raise rates or bond, then I think it's great. But if we spend all this money and do the plans, and then we don't take the next step to fix it, and do whatever you need to do, then we're going to be in the same boat. 5 years later, there's a plan that's out of date and we haven't done anything.
Well, that goes back to something that I talked about when I first got in, is I think communication. Like, we need to let residents know. Say, this is how much we bring in every year, $400,000, or that's a lot of money, you should fix everything. But the estimate I got to fix all of our storm drains is $30 to $40 million. So I think those conversations need to be had, and some people will probably say, horrible city, whatever. Every city's got the same issue. They're bringing in a limited amount of revenue, and as cities get older, they have more and more infrastructure that goes bad. But I think we need to start communicating with that, with the streets too. I mean, we know the streets are a top priority.
Well, I think half the problem is not just now, but it started way back when.
Oh, I agree.
And it's snowballed to the point that now it's an epidemic to where
everybody wants the very lowest taxes, and that's how
done.
you get elected, is you promise the lowest taxes.
Way back when
now you have no money
got
to
curb
pay
and
for
gutter
it.
and everything, and they done their storm drain, they done it like Payson City voted it down. Now it's coming back to bite everybody.
Right.
And so there's a lot of these issues that are coming back to bite everybody.
Agreed.
But yeah, they need to know that.
Right.
As well as everything else.
Right. Yeah, because like they have a lot of the areas that we don't have any curb and gutter, and the home sits down lower than the road. The minute it rains hard, that's the first place it goes, is right at their house. So curb and gutter is a good answer, but a lot of people either can't afford it or won't put it in. And how do we go tackle that beast? That's a huge expense.
Special improvement districts,
I think
something like that.
that's the only solution, yeah. I reiterate what I said earlier, we need to start going down this road. I agree 100% we need to do these studies. I think we need to do them all. I'm familiar with the ones earlier because I read them a long time ago. And so, it doesn't do us any good, obviously, to spend the money and then not do anything about it. But we've got to have a plan.
I mean, it ain't no different than 8 years ago we brought up Main Street and water and sewer. Still today, we haven't done a thing. So it keeps going back to, we just keep throwing it back onto a pile, and it's the next person's problem.
Maybe we're going to have to increase rates and so and bond and stuff. But
Yeah, and that's
we won't
the
know until
hard
we
part.
really do this.
I know that's not a popular subject for you guys, but we need to look at what does Payson need, not what is Spanish Fork doing, what is Santaquin doing for their rates. We need to do what's Payson really need to do, and that's going to be a hard
The
fight.
sad truth is that without bonding, you're not going to get very far.
Well, and bonding's hard because you really you go blow all the money on the projects in like 2-3 years, but you're paying for it for 10, and then so you're going like 7-8 years with no projects done because you're still trying to pay off the previous one. So that's the only negative.
Or the best thing I would say is if you could do a special improvement district and split the town up in like 6 quadrants and just take each one and just start.
But it's a hard sell.
It's a hard
the
sell.
few we've tried to do, the residents won't vote for it, and so then we can't do it.
That's something that everybody's got to
Looked
look
into
at.
grants, particularly where it's an older part of town, for storm drain.
That would be like a CDBG, and that
Whatever grants are
that
out
only
there.
pays like this much.
I understand that, but there might be other grants out there as well too.
Yeah, and that's something we could look at. It's just we don't. It's just.
And I understand the matching pay and all that other stuff. I get that.
Yeah, because like most of these grants, it's a match. So if you get $3 million, you've got to come up with $3 million.
Right.
It helps a ton.
Right, but we can start scouting out grants is all that I'm saying, and
Yeah.
see if they're worth it or not.
Exactly, but yeah, it's still it helps, but it's still a huge cost. So.
Can't make the decision until we scout them out.
So, I don't know if you guys have any other questions. I mean, we'll be talking about this obviously quite a bit in the near future, but
It's going to be a long, drawn-out
It's
issue.
good. It needs to be done.
I got something to say about 800 west and 100 south. I live there. And when that water comes down there, it builds up and goes clear across the street. I come home the last rainstorm we had, my wife had on my boots come up above her knees in a raincoat, and a rake and a shovel was going out to the catch basins in front of our house. It washes them down from all them streets and covers them up. Then they flood. It starts going up in the webs of the people across the street from these driveways and lines. And then it runs up and washes all the gravel and stuff you got on your driveways. I got a motorhome and it's got driveways, it washes it all over your grass. I know all about that. When the city redone it, 8 or 9 years ago, they went down and done a bunch of work on that corner. They put about an 8-inch pipe in there when they should have put a 10 or a 12 one. And then the state come over and they built that up. So on the freeway side of the fence, they built it up higher than my property. I got pictures of water coming this deep and chairs in my backyard.
Well, and that's where I think we need
$70
to.
a month, I would kind of like to see a little bit of something done there. Now, I feel sorry for the lady where you're working on her house now, Daisha, I don't know her last name, but she was on our Young Women's Organization. And then the 2 ladies that live down around the corner, or whoever owns them houses, I really feel sorry for them. Because I think they flood every time, but something needs to be done.
And we got another issue down, what's her name, that we're trying to pipe around, take that water. Joyce Bradley's house. Yeah. We have about 3 or 4 spots, but problem is we need to start addressing these things.
It's never got to my house. It's got 18 inches deep, but my house sits on a little hill. Most houses in Utah, they built the houses the only way they could water their yards was flood them. They put the little thing in the gutter and flood their yard. So that's why houses are set low, and that's the reason the houses flood.
Okay, we have one more comment. Let's make it a quick one, and we'll go from there.
And I know this is a touchy subject, but as you were talking about bonding or looking for grants with matching funds, I kind of am a fence sitter with the whole curb and gutter because half my property is curb and gutter and half is not. And I know that my adjoining properties, the water flows down. If it was proposed to me that I could get my curb and gutter done at 50% of the market value because you had a grant to cover the other half of it, I might be more inclined as a citizen to ante up at that point in time. But when it's coming down that I have to pay 100% of the value of it because it's my responsibility to put it in, it makes it a little bit more difficult to swallow. But maybe by sweetening that and enticing citizens with a carrot and saying, hey, we've got this district, we want to kind of control the flood, we can get half of this paid for. Are you interested in anteing up the other half? Whether or not that would actually float, that's a different story. But I know that things like that are enticing.
And that's a long shot to get that amount of grants and stuff. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the discussion on Memorial Park improvements.
Did we give them any kind of direction then?
We're next council meeting, we were coming to talk about the plans.
Okay.
So we can
just worry
continue the
about it
discussion,
then.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I wanted to know.
Okay. This is just another discussion on the Memorial Park.
This is another discussion that the council brought up, and we're just trying to keep it in front of you and maybe come to a decision. So in your packet, we sent several different options of things that we could do where the old tennis courts are. This was another that I sent yesterday, I believe, that we got back. This is a combination of doing some pickleball courts, 6 of them, and some basketball courts, and then the parking area there. We kind of feel like this might be the way to go. Pickleball's pretty popular right now. We feel like that something active is better at the park than non-active, just putting a pavilion or adding grass, get people to use that. And so this is kind of the one that we as staff looked at that would be an option. We did get a high-level bid from them, but you're looking to do this with the proper flooring and the proper structure. It's $300,000.
Lighting?
And I think that included lighting. Did not include lighting?
That'll be additional, I think.
Okay.
50,000.
And Tracy and Carl?
Well, in that too, that was like them taking out all the other surf. There's some stuff in there that we can do as a city that would
Right.
save a lot of money.
Yeah, we're just looking at if we do some of that ourselves, we could help with the cost. But we just wanted to get some direction. This is kind of the way we'd like to see it go. I know we did adopt the park tax. This is a project that we could apply for some park funds, but I don't know if we could use total park funds with here because the estimate of what we bring in each year from the park tax is about $183,000. So that would take 2 years of this to get this done. So maybe a combination of applying for some park tax money through the committee and coming back to the council and then trying to find some other revenues to finish out this park project. But this was just a suggestion. You looked at some of the other renditions we had, or if you have any other ideas of how you'd like to see the park renovated. I know we wanted to pipe the canal there for safety and liability and more useful area, and so that would be part of fixing this area here.
Do we lose a lot of, using this one, do we lose a lot of parking?
Well, if you look at it, you just lose very little on the south end.
Mike, can I comment on that too? I don't know very many parks downtown that have a school and a church right next to them either.
Yeah.
So even though we're losing that parking we usually use for, like, the citizens don't park there outside the pavilion use. It's usually for the carnival workers or, so I don't think that will, or people that are doing functions in the park. I don't think it'll affect the general public by losing,
Well, the question that came to my mind is we have a pavilion down there as well.
Yeah.
I've been down there when there's no parking left and that, you have a big pavilion activity going on. So that's my question about parking.
Yeah. And it could be, we talked about this where you could almost have a drop-off area so you could drop off stuff to the pavilion, We can rearrange that parking lot, but we do have a lot of parking around that park.
And just so you know, the council did appropriate some money that we are going to build a pavilion on the northwest side to help with the salmon supper, things like that. We're going to try to get this done before during this budget year. And so that will help have an additional pavilion down there on that side. But yeah, there's a lot of work that we could put into the bathhouse. Some of these things ought to be replaced and upgraded. But this is kind of the focal point. The tennis courts are not in good shape, and this would be a great addition. But it's up to how you want to proceed.
So is staff's recommendation then is to have that many pickleball?
Our recommendation would be to do this. We could drop that down to 4 pickleball courts, and maybe we could slide it some more. Might save a little bit of money. But we had proposed also to light it. I think if we're going to have these,
you need to light it.
It'd be good to have lighting.
Well, I had a conversation today with Carl. I don't mind, Carl, that I bring this up. And my biggest problem that I have right now is the fact that we don't use what we have down there. We have a tennis courts that really are sad shape. Nobody comes down and uses it. I'm for anything that'll get people down there using them and doing that. So if we feel comfortable that we have enough parking, I'm happy with that.
One of the renditions would be just to redo the tennis courts, but our feeling was we did a joint
tennis courts between the junior highs.
We did a joint project with the high school, so those are city tennis courts as well. Now it may be good at some time to partner with them again and light those, but we have those courts at the high school. I think Mountain Eagle put some courts in, or Payson Junior has courts as well. So we have plenty of tennis courts around the community. That's why we thought maybe pickleball court and some basketball for 3-on-3 at our celebration, and just clean that corner up. So and so our proposal would be to apply for some park tax money. We'd have to maybe get with Sarah and look at other ways we could find some revenue to do this project. It wouldn't be this budget year, but we just want you to know we're moving toward it. If you want to move it up, we'd have to find the money, but we'd apply, March or April, whenever that, maybe I think we changed that to where it's August where they make the decision on the park tax. So we'd recommend applying at least for some of the funds to do this through the park tax committee that would come back to the council and then try to find the other money.
And the only thing I would say is don't plan on draining that park tax on dry on this project.
Well, that's
because we have a lot of other people that we've told if they have something that they think needs to be done, they should be able to apply it. I would hate to.
No, I understand that, and 20% of those funds would go to the community. The other 80% would go to city projects. So this would be one of them. And there's the trail that we're trying. finish, and that's gonna be an expensive one. We have some great expensive projects, but, we just have to work it with the money that we have.
Sarah?
I have one question. So how confident are you that pickleball is just a fad and it goes away?
I'm confident it's not a fad.
I went on a tour to the colleges with high school students, and every university, that's one of the things they showed off was their pickleball courts, and they're well used.
St. George is just packed. You can't get a court down. So, Vegas, St. George is slowly coming this way. It's a little different, but.
What are they made out of?
It's a tennis court surface. It's concrete with the surface.
Suspended concrete.
So when we talk about this, the one concern we have is how do you keep it maintained? Because those tennis courts were really nice ones. But somewhere along the line, maintenance was lost, and that might be we don't have the staff, it might be we didn't appropriate money to it, I don't know what it is, but if we put something in nice, we need to find a mechanism to make sure it's maintained. Same thing with, like, down by the park by the tree, like that's our area, we should be having landscapers in there, and even if it's a trash tree, Payson should be taking care of that, and then Linda and I wouldn't disagree on the trees, because it would be taken care of.
Hey, that'll go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, those tennis courts were built with an asphalt base, which was a way to do it years ago. Now we would do a post-tension concrete.
Okay.
And so that alone will
help
them last a lot longer and not crack. And yeah.
But spraying weeds as they come up. And,
yeah, well, hopefully there's no cracks and they don't come. But
right.
The surface, it should last 15 to 20 years as is. But yeah, then you would have to resurface that with the coating, the tennis court coating.
This is just one that Farmington just did, and the person that's designed some of the stuff has been helping us with some cost. I know St. George has put a ton in. So yeah, I mean, you can't ever say it's not a fad, but it seems like it's at our city managers conference, that's what they did. They went and had pickleball competitions, and I've never played it. So, but it sounds like it's something that's really gaining a lot of popularity.
Sarah, I have a question for Sarah. How much money do we still have in the budget from the salmon supper? In general funds?
Well, every year we add to it a little bit, but I think we've pretty well drained it this year. We don't have much left.
Okay.
Maybe 30,000 left in there.
Okay. The other thing, on the pickleball courts, when we have the 3-on-3, if we put the poles where you could take them out, could those all be used for the 3-on-3 during the 3-on-3 time?
I wouldn't recommend that. Each court is usually you fence it off, or at least have some tails of fencing so the balls don't go from court to court.
Okay.
So it would be an isolated. It wouldn't be a multi-use.
They're just like miniature tennis courts.
Right.
So you don't want balls crossing.
On the basketball courts, you could potentially put some portable pickleball courts.
I looked up pickleball, and I've heard about it for quite a while. I think it's this has been around 40 years now, so it's not something just new. And as we get some older people we have retirement communities, a lot of older people use that. I think we'll have more retirement people coming to Payson. So I think this is a good plan to go with the basketball court and the pickleball court.
I played pickleball, and it is fun. Because I can beat Dave.
You can't beat me.
Okay, any other discussion on that? Seeing none, I guess you've got direction.
We'll just move that direction, and if you're okay with that, we'll work toward the park tax and other ways to fund it and bring something back to you.
All right, next thing on the agenda is a work session, and it's on the conceptual development plan for the east side. And so I will turn that over to Dave for a minute, and then we'll kind of go from there.
I probably just need to disclose it's a potential development that I'm involved in.
And I need to disclose that I have some working relationships with some of the people in that development also.
And I have the same disclosure to make.
I disclose that I know the people that are doing all of these things.
The very last one.
Who's going
Yes, I Doug, and we
I'm
don't.
Doug.
And we find more.
And he's still an alcoholic.
No,
Okay, oh, Jill,
Yes.
sorry.
No, you're fine. So, Mayor and Council, I have a short presentation, but as we are all saying who's related to who and relationships with this project, I do want to recognize that we do have the real estate agent for the buyer and the seller in the audience, and then we do have the owner that is here for this project. And so I know that the real estate agent and the property owners have been looking to do something with this piece of property. So the area that we're looking at is highlighted in red there. And so those two long skinny parcels there on the left-hand side, they are currently zoned commercial. They are owned by the Coast Guards on those two parcels there. They have been looking at a number of different layouts on that parcel in hopes to sell that and see additional development in Payson. And so the City Council has reviewed a couple of those concept plans. Some of them may have just been discussions with the landowner, but some of them have made its way to the City Council in some work sessions to look at the possibility of developing these properties in a number of ways. Some of those concepts, there were pros and cons, feedback given to the applicants of, this is what we'd be supportive of, this is what we wouldn't, recognizing that we are changing the zoning for this property and it is adjacent to existing development. So we do have some proposal, two options for the City Council to consider. The option B that was included in your project, or in your packet, is there's a little bit of challenge with laying that out just due to the narrowness of those parcels there. But we did want to go over both of them, and then I will definitely turn it over to the council for deliberation. But as I mentioned, we do have some of the representatives here that may want to speak to this item. So currently the properties, as I mentioned, the two skinny parcels are zoned general commercial. And then the other parcel that is further to the north and to the east is A5H annexation holding zone. That property was actually included in the Wignall annexation that was annexed into the city about 5 years ago. And so that has been finalized. And so there has not been a master plan completed for this area. There's been a lot of ideas thrown out. But that's why we have just been reviewing with applicants and property owners some ideas of how it could be laid out. Just immediately south of that one parcel is where the Wasatch Mental Health Office building is under construction at this time, so that hopefully that orients people. We do have SR 198 going to Salem, and then we have Mountain View Hospital there on the southern end of the bottom of that screen. Let's see. Okay. So as I mentioned, there's two different options that were included in your packet. It is preferred to move forward with option A. It's really difficult to see, so I apologize. I know the council probably has a better copy, but for the public, we are showing that there is some existing development of property. You do have some existing storage unit buildings that are located there now, currently zone I-1. So those are legal uses in the I-1 zone. The applicant is proposing to expand that existing storage unit business into the northern portion of these parcels, but still retaining a commercial piece on the southern end of the parcels adjacent to SR 198. That is a critical corridor in our community for commercial uses. So as staff would feel that it would be beneficial to maintain some commercial along the highway, but then possibly transitioning into the industrial use, which is consistent with an existing use that's in that location. You have a 55-plus community that's there in the middle of the screen. So we've got several residents that are living there now, really enjoy that neighborhood. It's very well maintained. We have great residents there. It's a good location with some of the medical services around them. And so the applicant is proposing that we expand on the 55-plus community there to the north and to the east, then connecting into the roadway system where Wasatch Mental Health is located. So it would be senior housing. I know that was one of the concerns that, thank you, Mark, I've been trying to do a really good job describing because I didn't have a laser. So, but yeah, so they're looking at the industrial, the expansion of the existing storage unit facility here, commercial along the highway, which would be consistent with other commercial uses in the area. 55 plus here, that would be expanded to additional senior housing on this parcel. The Wasatch Mental Health office building is located here, and this new road was just recently constructed and would come back out to the highway. Some of the concerns brought up by council members in the past was just how do we integrate new uses or a new type of development with those existing uses around it. So that's why the applicant is looking at, we've got those existing uses and just expanding the existing uses that are already there. He does recognize the concern with as you get closer and you've got that common property line between those potentially incompatible land uses, that there would need to be some fencing, some landscaping, whatever, in order to be less obtrusive to the residential area. But then, of course, in this area would just be an expansion of similar development that's there. Another concern that's been raised is, whether they're 2-story, 3-story above grade, because some of the proposals have been for 2-story or 3-story buildings, looking down on single-story above grade homes. And so that has been a concern raised by the city council. And so it has been proposed that, any expansion of that, at least immediately adjacent to these homes here, would be single-story above grade homes to be consistent with the neighborhood. As far as option B that was included in there, this one's easier to see where it's not on the aerial, but it is just an expansion of all of the 55 plus community. There would need to be some analysis completed to see whether or not Payson could accommodate that many units in our community. We not only have this 55 plus community, but we have an expanding 55 community on the west side of Payson. That's just near the Payson, Utah LDS temple. And so, that may be a concern of, how many 55 plus communities can we yield in our market and in our location. But as I mentioned, the applicant was also concerned about, putting additional units adjacent to an existing industrial use. And then again, just with the configuration of these parcels, it's really challenging to get the required road width in there, the depth for the units, and still having a good amount of open space that would definitely be an amenity to those living in that development. So all in all, the preferred option is to move forward with option A, which would just to be expand the existing uses in the area, the industrial, commercial, and residential. Or the city council could also consider some other land uses and development patterns in this area, give that direction to the real estate agents, to the property owners, to the applicant. But that's why we're here tonight, is to throw out another idea, get some feedback so they can make some decisions moving forward. And with that, I'm not sure if the property owner or the real estate agents would like to add to that or correct anything that I may have gone awry with, but that is all the presentation I have here.
Okay, we have either one of you. Start with you and then. Just state your name and.
Hi, I'm Helena Carter Thomas. I represent Mr. Phillips on this property. Jill did a great job. Definitely option A is preferred, to be honest, at this point, after Mr. Phillips met with engineers and we've gotten further into this project. It seems like option B really isn't feasible, and it really doesn't work very well, like Jill mentioned, with the narrowness of the land. It makes it really difficult. So Mr. Phillips is definitely wanting to make this a really nice development. Jill mentioned the fencing, definitely, wanting and willing to put up some nice fencing that will, help with creating some barriers for the different uses. And also, he doesn't want to see other industrial uses there. If something were to happen, if he were to sell this property in the future or anything. So he is willing and interested in maybe putting some sort of a restriction, if that's possible, so that it could only be used in the industrial zone for storage units. I think that's about it. Is there anything else?
Oh, I have a question for you. Have you had a chance, I know the senior group's pretty active there, have you had a chance to talk to any of those seniors and see what their feeling is?
I haven't, but Scott has.
One that's represented here, I thought that maybe they'll come to the next meeting, but I've showed them the layout. And they was good with it because it stops the multifamily option.
Yeah, it sounds like everyone's really against the multifamily option, and so, you know, I think this is really a good, with the commercial in the front, you know, it's probably the best scenario for the area, really.
Okay. Any other discussion? Come on up.
City Council members, I'm Kim Probsgard, and I am the proud owner of that property for the last 10 years when my father passed away. And we put it on the market then, and I approached City Council at that time. Some of you were here, some of you were gone. But I made it on my list of things to do with whatever happened to that property. It wouldn't become an eyesore or something that would take away from the city of Payson. This is my home. As time has gone on, we've had people that are interested, but it's really tough. It's really tough to find somebody that's got that discipline that's going to do something there. I've been involved with development most of my career. I worked as engineering staff in the city of St. George. It's ironic to hear you talk about trees in one discussion and then pick up all in the other, because you're just a little bit behind us, is all you are. But anyway, as the property owner, I feel like the conceptual plan that has been given, it represents something that me and my family would want to leave. And anyway, as far as, you know, the property itself, we got that property in 1962. I built the original fence that went down through the property line. I dug the post holes, let's put it that way. There's not too much about that property that I don't really know about and have been concerned with. And there again, my father bought it. It was a split up from a dairy farm off of Giles Dairy Farm out there. And anyway, from that point on, it was just something that he always had in the back of his mind. And as far as seeing something there that would not only, you know, benefit him, but also benefit the city of Payson. And we watched over the years. It's been on the market for 10 years now, and we're glad to get it to this point here with what I would consider, you know, people that have my interests at heart. And so that's, we'd like to, if you have any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer any of them. As far as the history of that property and where it's taken us.
Okay. Any discussion or questions?
Just one comment. Ken, you don't look the same.
Well, neither do you.
Okay.
Last time I seen you, you was taking care of my dad over in the hospital. You don't think we're calling
You didn't tell him how you got up here.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Okay. So any other discussion or questions? Or you looking for direction?
Just direction.
No offense, I don't love the storage units. It probably is the best use for the area, but I just worry that when the highway comes, or we connect right there, when I-15 is all done, that's all going to end up being commercial and residential, and it's going to be an island right in the middle, and I guess there'll be an island no matter what. So I'm not super opposed to it, but I do have a little bit of a concern. The rest of it I like. I like the senior living, and I like that we've got commercial on the main road there. I think it was very smart. And in reality, all of it's probably really smart, but that is a concern that I have.
What do you mean by the island, Doug?
Well, so if the highway comes in right there, there's a high likelihood that you're going to end up with commercial.
So the highway.
There's a highway, not the highway, but the
Connector.
the connector road
The
that's
new
coming in
Evo
from the new.
connector will
Right.
go down.
It's clear down.
It's
It'll
clear
go
down
here.
there. Okay. So maybe,
Yeah, it's gonna come in about right now.
but you're still probably gonna have residential and commercial there, aren't you? I mean, that would be my guess, that you're gonna keep the
Yeah, I think
industrial
you'll have
closer
it.
to
I
the
mean, and I
freeway.
think that's where, you know, looking at the master plan here, we do need to look at, you know, those mix of uses. You know, we have talked about doing more nodal commercial over next to where that intersection would be. And then, you know, you could even see some residential along the highway, possibly. Maybe
Right.
concentrating the commercial around that intersection, which will be most likely lighted, you know.
I think
and
we've
traffic
discussed a
signal
few
in the
times that we wanted to keep most of that corridor on the highway commercial.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what's being proposed here, is that this would still
Right, and I like
maintain
that,
a
yeah.
commercial here, and then transition to the industrial, and then have the residential
Problem you
just
have with,
expand from
there
here.
won't be any residential will have no basements because of the water table.
Well,
Yeah.
then the only thing yeah.
Well, and I like,
Have to be.
That's just my concern, and it's, we don't have a master plan done, so it's hard to see what we have planned there. But I mean, just sitting here going through my head, I don't know.
Eyesore from the I just, you know, there are older buildings there, so they're kind of an eyesore for the residents now.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I guess it would be.
and I've got
Yeah.
a number of friends that are in that housing to the west. And I know that they would love to see the same type of building going on to the east of them. And I know that whenever any one of those come open, they are filled immediately. So I think there's really a need, even though we've got another one.
To address a little bit the master planning, I mean, it is a challenge because we don't know exactly, so we're sort of going out on a limb here. But we have talked to the applicant about some of the things that we would like to see, I mean, that we have in our current general plan, is the extension of 400 North. We do show that 400 North, even though it dead ends right now by the cemetery, we do show that as a collector connection that would potentially go out to here. So we talked a little bit about the alignment here, you know, making sure that we do have the corridor necessary in order for that road to extend if and when it connects. I mean, we've got some other development that's already in the way of that road being extended.
What's the groundwater
We don't own the property.
up to there?
And so, but, you know, we don't want to have more buildings on that
But we're
property.
not in a swamp, right?
And there's water now, there wasn't water all winter, now we've got water.
Now that we've done Wasatch, before Florida and all that.
We dug 21 feet in the ground, didn't have water, but we got water the last week, so I don't know, that's an engineer team there, huh?
Okay, well. Okay, any other discussion? Direction? No. Yeah.
Teresa Hyatt. You were at the last planning and zoning, and the 55 where they were extending down there by the temple. I was surprised this whole room was full. And these people come from all over the United States. I was just amazed. They love Payson, they think it's beautiful. I think this is an awesome idea because it's just like Linda said. These people want the same next to them. So why not give it to them? I think this is just awesome, and looking at the people that came to planning and zoning last week, I don't think there's going to be a problem filling it up.
So you're talking about option A or B?
Option A.
Okay. Anybody else in the audience? Come up and state your name and.
I just wanted to make one more comment. You know, option A for Mr. Phillips, I guess, you know, it will increase the storage units, obviously, but they're already there. And, you know, the use is already there. And it will also allow him to move ahead with, you know, some more senior housing on the other side. And so you know, it seems as though it's kind of the best thing for everyone, and where we've already got them there, what's the difference gonna be with having more? And from a real estate standpoint and a developing standpoint, water, you know, high water tables really is an issue for housing. And, you know, if we can, you know, I guess, obviously there can't be any basements there, which senior housing, they don't want basements. And so if this were to go to more of like a normal residential development, it probably wouldn't work very well from a real estate standpoint without basements. It's just, it makes the land worth a lot less. So
right. Well, I don't have major heartache with it, just for clarification, and it's just the storage part that I was a little concerned about. The other part is
I
good,
get that.
but I don't have major heartache. It's just a concern that
I think just looking at it, that it's just enlarging it a little bit. You know, it's not. And the commercial part will be right where it needs to be, across from the hospital. Hopefully we'll have some nice, you know, higher end.
Have storage units in the middle of town all over, so it's not like it's to me, it's not like an issue.
Well, and there are storage units there already, so. And high water.
Thanks, you guys.
All right, we get 2 more comments.
I'm almost 81 years old. I moved from California up here December 7th, 1993. The reason I come up here was because everybody like this, they had farmland around. And if you're going to build houses, don't build apartment houses. I'll tell you why, because they overbuild the area, build I was a carpenter, I helped build them, I know. 350 units, stuff like that, 3.5 floors underground parking. Pretty soon they got so they couldn't rent them all in the area. One day started bringing in HUD, and the next thing you know, we got gangbangers all over the place, and that's the reason I moved up here, because I had problems with gangbangers and the cops. And just don't build a lot of apartment houses. Stick to residential and maybe small apartment houses, but not great big ones. You know, overbuild it. But she sounded like it didn't sound like it that bad, but I'm dead serious. I love Payson. I've been up here 20-some years, and it's really a nice place to live. And I hate to see people go in and the farmland, I know they got to sell if they can't keep it. It'd be nice if you could keep green spaces and open spaces, but I understand you can't. But just my advice is just don't build too many great big apartment houses. You're just going to bring grief on yourself. I know, because I'm up here just exactly. I'm kind of, if you want, I'll talk to you outside and I'll tell you why.
Tell us your name.
Sir,
what was your name?
Morgan Tripp.
Morgan
Trippett.
Trippett. Okay, thank you.
Dave Johnson again. I just wanted to compliment the staff. I think looks like this is really well thought out. I think that option A looks like a solid option. So, I mean, if I were voting, I would vote for that.
Okay.
And Mayor, if I could just give some suggestions of how to move forward. If there's certain elements that you would like an applicant to consider with a proposal moving forward, we can't make a motion, we can't make a decision tonight, but any direction you give them, if you feel like the 3 different uses, the commercial, industrial, and the residential are appropriate, we can move them in that direction. If you feel like the extension of collector streets in order to further our general plan should be incorporated, provide that feedback. If you feel like the concern of the separation of potential incompatible uses is a concern, then the applicant needs to put emphasis on that. Those are the types of direction that would be helpful for staff and the applicant moving forward.
Do we have any direction, or is everybody good with A?
Jill, you put option A back up there.
Mike, where do you stand?
I think this is a good use of
Okay.
this property. I know we've looked at other things there, and this is by far the best way to go, I think. I am concerned about the extension of the collector system. Maybe that's something that we should do.
Yeah, I'll make sure.
But other than that, I'm happy.
Okay. Doug, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I mean, I did have the one question, but out of all the uses we've seen, this is clearly the best. And I think it is better.
I like this option also.
Right.
I like this option. I think it's a real challenge that narrow strip there to put
Well, that's
something
the
in
hard
there.
part too, yeah.
And so the storage unit's up to the other, if you have a nice fence there, it finishes that off, fills in a spot that could be sitting there for 20 more years. So the one thing I might look at is over by Wasatch Mental Health, maybe extend maybe some commercial back a little bit farther and not have yeah, that's the only thing I might look at, so.
Okay, no comment from Scott. So, okay, you got enough direction?
I believe so.
Okay. All right, next thing on the agenda, we have somebody else have a question?
Me?
You wanted to see.
I was on 4th North and it looked to me like if it came off straight.
It comes off on an angle.
Yeah,
and
just kind of a little bit.
in just my opinion, it'll stay that way until my stepmother decides to do something with it. She wants to leave the open space and has no desire to develop back there. As the time goes. I thought at one point it kind of goes through them trailers, doesn't it?
It does. It does. So I want to make that clear for the public record. We do not own the corridor. We don't own the property. And so, but we would like long-range master planning for our transportation system. We would like to see that extended.
The 55 and older, if you hit it, it went right through the houses and this. But if you threw a little dog leg in there, which wouldn't be big on 4th North, you'd catch them all. That's why I kind of backed up on that comment.
Perfect. Thanks for the suggestion.
Okay. Any other? Seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.